Okay. Now, last week we have discussed about operator precedence, the last part. Am I right? So we discussed about arithmetic operators last week. We discussed about input function. We discussed about data types, conversion. We also discussed about dynamic typing. So if anyone has any questions from the slides we have. Now, in the last week's slides, we also have some slides after that. Not this one. From string and more. OK, and I mentioned that we will discuss this one. This is a part of week 4, so no need to worry about. But yes, this is as I said, I already provided you to ensure that if someone want to learn in advance, you can simply go through these things. This is not too difficult. It's just how to represent your strings and try to apply more concepts on it. But we will discuss next week again, or if time allows, I will definitely try to cover this part in today's class. Now, it's module 2.2, and we are going to work on conditionals, flowchart, and pseudocode.
Excuse me, teacher, you don't share screen.
Oh, sorry, I'm just going to share now. Once again, oh, sorry. Thank you. So in today's class, we are going to discuss about pseudocode, algorithm, and flowchart, and conditionals. OK, so first part is pseudocode, algorithm, and flowchart. I will try to use some. Let me just draw it on the whiteboard. That might be much easier for everyone to. So I hope you can see my screen. OK, I'm just sharing a whiteboard with you.
Yep.
Now, I will just try to flip between slides every time. So first part is whenever you work with any exercise, OK, let's say any exercise, any solution, any project, any small application, even a 3-line code. Whenever you look for an exercise or question for programming, there are 2 phases. Number 1, implementation phase, and the second one, the problem solving phase. OK. Now, the first step is this one. This is the second step. OK. When we say problem solving phase, we are not actually solving a problem. We are just planning. So we call this one as a planning phase. Oh, sorry. And this is an implementation phase, as the name suggests. OK, now in a planning phase, if you're working on a bigger application, let's say you're working on an application and you want to create something, food ordering application, you will work with how many pages, you will try to find out what customers can perform, use case scenarios, a lot of things, journey mapping and all. But once you are done with all the planning and when you want to put it into practical scenario, writing the code, that's the implementation phase. But so far, every single thing is theory. Now, same thing. Let's say you get a program, ask the user to enter num1 and num2 and print the total of it. OK, now, if this is an exercise, sorry, let me just. If this is an exercise, ask the user, if this is the exercise as I'm stating, ask the user to enter 2 values and print the total of it. Now, what you're going to do, you will just try to make a plan in your mind. How you're making a plan, you will break it down. What I have to do first, ask the user to enter number 1, ask the user to enter number 2, and print it. Is it fine? Any different scenario? Okay. Now, this part is called planning phase. And once you write a code out of it using num, input, and so many other things, that is your implementation phase. Now, if you have not done this planning phase, writing a code without thinking can disturb your code and it will show errors. So that's the reason we always recommend to make plan. Now, the plan can be in your mind. You don't have to write on a piece of paper every single time, but the more complicated the exercise is, it will be necessary for you to make plan or make a flow. Now, this plan is called algorithm. So algorithm is nothing, is just a step-by-step sequence how to solve a problem. You are not actually solving a problem. You are just creating a plan that what resources I need and what steps I must follow to solve a problem. Now, this particular algorithm is further divided into two different parts, different categories. One is a pseudocode, and the second category is flowchart. So I'm just going to revise again. There are two stages in any single project whenever you work with programming. Number one, which is your planning phase or problem solving phase. Second one is implementation. We are putting that implementation part aside because we are already working on it. We are writing programs since last week. But problem solving phase, when you read exercise, try to break it down in a step-by-step process. Now, when you break it down, some people write in descriptive manner, some people design some diagrams. So based on the type you adopt, there are two different type of algorithm, flowchart and pseudocode. Any questions for this one? Just want to make sure that you are clear with these things, okay, before we go.
Excuse me, do you mean what simple, what you write by hand, is it pseudocode? Yeah?
Yeah, when you write in a simple language, okay, I'll just show you one example. Let's say the exercise, okay, let me just make it a, it's fine. So let's say the exercise is ask the user to enter, same question, okay? Ask the user to enter two values and print the sum of it. Now, when I give this exercise in a descriptive line, let's say ask, sorry, I'm just writing it here, user to enter two values and print the sum of them. Okay. Now, when I write this exercise, now, if you don't have like, just consider this one, it's because I cannot write an entire project right now, but just to give you an idea, if you consider this, if you think that you cannot make a plan in your mind, it's always recommended to write on somewhere. There are multiple reasons out of it, because when you're going to work in an application development project, you are not going to work alone. You are going to work in a team. And when you're going to work in a team, that sharing your what you thinking, what your plan of actions, what your algorithm is with someone else in a verbal, it's one of the difficult tasks. So that's why you have to adopt some of the technology to make sure that everyone in the team member will be on the same page. So if let's say this is a project, now what I will write as a algorithm or step by step, number one, num1 enter by user, num2 enter by user, just writing something simple. Okay. And I can also create variable, let's say add equal to num1 plus num2. And then after I will write print num. Okay, I can simply use that thing as well. I hope it's visible, and anyone has any question, please ask. Okay, now just asking a random question. What do you think will be helpful for you to write a code if you read this question or if you read this step-by-step process? What will be easy for you when you're writing a code? Which will be easy for you?
The pseudocode.
The
The
pseudocode.
second one?
Step
Yeah.
by step.
The reason is it depends on person to person, but normally pseudocode is much effective for programmers. Why? Because a business analyst is the person who is going to contact the customers, and the business analyst will be able to get all the requirements as a case study. The way you have received your assessment 1 case study, assessment 2 case study, assessment 3 case study, those case studies are the case study provided by business analyst. To the business analyst. Now, business analyst will create a more specific part which has to be done by programmer. That might be pseudocode can help you. Or when you get a project, you can also create a pseudocode to let other team member understand that what exactly required. So this is a pseudocode. Okay. Now, it depends on client. It depends on your team. Okay. And also the audience. Sometimes you have a technical audience. Sometimes you have a non-technical audience. If the audience is non-technical, using technical terms might be difficult for you. And if you are presenting, let's say you're working in a group project and you are going to present in slides or presentation, you cannot share the entire pseudocode one by one, line by line, in 10 of hundreds of slides. It's more difficult and it's just too much to read. So in that case, depend on requirement, you opt the different format. The second format for the same program using flowchart, let's say asking the user to enter an input. Then using input for number 2. Then after calculating add num1 plus n2, and then print add. Now this is a flowchart. Now flowchart can take less space, more presentable, but it's only presentable to technical people who can understand, because you don't have to describe line by line, but they can understand that what this sign means, what this sign means, what this sign means, what this arrow means, and what different notation means. Now, it depends on your team, it depends on your client, technical, non-technical, that which option you opt for. They both are appropriate. Okay? But there are some rules which we have to follow. When you're working with flowcharts, you have to use these notations. Now, the notation change based on different flowcharts. For example, if you're working with a process improvement chart, you might use different notations. But these are the basic which are normally used in every single flowchart. Start and stop, we use oval. For arrows, it shows that what happened before and what happened next. It's just a next process. Input and output, we use parallelogram shape. And for any process means anything happening behind the scene. Let's say num add equal to num1 plus num2. It is not going to show you that add equal to num1 plus num2. It is going to be happen that calculation behind that console. Whatever it's not visible to the user will be considered as square or rectangle. And the decision, this is the one which we use, conditional. So whenever you think any condition apply, we use this one. Now these 5 notation you have to use in your flowcharts. Okay, go back to this one. Now for same thing, we use parallelogram for input, output. We use rectangle for calculation. Now you can use this oval one for start, and the same thing for stop. This is how it works. Okay, now this flow chart will give an idea to a person or a team member that, okay, what part I have to write where. There are so many reasons behind it. Sometime when you work on a case study, you find out that, okay, some part of the code, some part written at the end of the case study, but that need to be considered at the top of the case study. So it will help you to realign the importance of structure. What part need to be done first? What need to be done second? Sometimes, let's say you are creating a program and customer have mentioned every single thing in the requirement, and at the last he said, okay, the minimum age limit for registration must be 21. Now it's written at the end, but you have to put it at the top in your requirement because you're going to write the code from the top to bottom. Okay, so it will help you to align the sequence. So this is one part. It is more representable, and this is more for your team member who are non-technical because they can simply read it. Now the rules or terms for flowchart, you have to use the dedicated notations. You have to create using a tool specifically. Okay. For pseudocode, on the other hand, There is, sorry, it's here. Yeah, pseudocode on the other hand. It's a code written in English, but it's like a language. We are not actually writing a code. We are just simply opening any application, let's say Microsoft Word, and you can use pen and paper, but normally we use it application so that we can share it as a soft copy. And we just write English language. Now it depends at which part of the country you work. For example, if you're in a different country where everyone speaks Mandarin, you can simply use Mandarin to write this entire pseudocode because everyone understands it. It depends on your client, okay? It cannot be compiled. Now you're just writing for your reference. You cannot put it, copy and paste in your Spider and it will work. But you can, it will help you to write your code. Now it is designed, it is written to design a solution, not the problem. So it is not the case study. It is what you are, let's say you receive an exercise, your flowchart or pseudo code should not as similar to the way case study written. If you remember just 5 minutes back, I just mentioned, if you have all the case study, let's say ask the user to enter name, mobile number, email ID, date of birth, and then after display if he's successful in registration or not. And at the last, I mentioned that the year of the age should be 21-year-old. Now, if I follow the question, I'm going to ask the name, mobile number, date of birth, every single thing. Then I check whether he's acceptable or not. And after that, I have to check for age validity, which is not compatible. So you are going to organize in pseudocode according to your solution, what you're going to write. Your pseudocode should be exact similar to your code. Same, your algorithm or flowchart should be a similar visibility, or like I would say identical to your code, not identical to the problem. Your problem is going to be 1 page, let's say. Your code will be around 2000 lines. So your flowchart must be related to your code, not related to case study. I hope it makes sense. And if anyone has a question, please ask. Is it fine? Shall we move on? Okay. Now, it is not programming language specific. I will not say that, OK, I have to work on a code. I have to write a code in Python, so I have to create a different pseudocode. I have to write a code in C++. I have to write a different pseudocode. No, pseudocode is something, any programming language, because it's just a process, step-by-step approach. Pseudocode are independent to programming language because it's not specific to, you can use it versatile. The only rule that you have to make sure that you write a word called begin and end whenever you're working with pseudocode, just to demonstrate that, OK, the code starts from here and end it here. OK, now depend on your technicality, depend on your audience, depend on your team members' knowledge, depend on the size of the project, depend on your presentation style. You can opt it, the one which suits your requirement. OK, we are going to work in your assignment 2 with flowchart. In assignment 2, it's not related to assessment 1. We are just learning because 1 or 2 exercise where you might think that, OK, it's too complicated. For your rough work, it's much easier for you to create a flowchart. But assessment 2 is the one where you will get marks for your flowchart. So you have to submit as a part of submission. There is one more benefit of flowchart in your assessment 2. If you have created your flowchart in assessment 2, you will be able to segregate or categorize the part that one part of this flowchart will be done by one group member, second will be another group member, and third will be another group member. OK, so you can distribute it equally. So this is about your algorithm. So algorithm can be pseudocode, can be flowchart. But in simple, algorithm is just a step-by-step approach to solve a problem. Should we move next? Is it fine? Any questions with this? Anything you want to ask? OK. Now, I'll give you one example. Let's say we all use navigation platforms such as Google Map. OK. Now, if you have to use a Google Map, so if you're using a Google Map, OK. Now, and you are putting that, let's say, from your home to campus. If you're putting this as a requirement that I want to just navigate me from my home to campus, you will find one as a navigation using some notations. And from roundabout, take left, then left. Okay, something like this. This is the navigation. And also, if you see in your navigation portal, there is a key called directions. The moment you click direction, what will happen? It will also provide you a descriptive that goes straight 200 meters from the roundabout, take left. Now it's not going to put you show you as a display. It will just show you line by line. So just to give you an example, now some people use this one. Some people also use this one. Depend on that what's more, I would say, more easy for you to understand. Sometimes you're driving, you cannot see that navigation, you can only hear it and take action. Oh, then the pseudocode is much effective. So it depends on your audience. Now, you can use the one you want, the one your team member are comfortable, or the one your audience can understand. Pseudocode is considered as less technical, where flowchart is considered as a bit technical, but flowchart is considered as more presentable rather than compared to pseudocode because it's just a paragraphs and no one has a time to read it. So you can simply present it in an effective way. So if I just go to the next part, some more flowcharts. OK, now let's say so far when we are create what we have learned, like, let's say, start our code. OK, and input for number 1 and num2. Okay, let me look at number 1. And print num1 plus n2 and then end. OK, this is one, but we should not use pen and paper the way I'm using. I'm just giving you an idea, but normally what you should do is you should use shapes. You can also use Note or any kind of even Microsoft Word to create your flowchart. You will find these notations here, basic shapes and everything. OK, so you can simply use start shape, put it here, then after next, and you can use it. OK, just want to show you. There are tools such as draw.io, which is also recommended to use, draw.io. The moment you click on this link, it will open. It will ask you a question. OK, that you want to create a flowchart or diagram, or you want to open an existing one. OK, in this stage, I want to just create a new one. Now it's showing a device so that every single thing is saved on my device, but I can simply change the storage by linking this to anything else. Let's say I want to connect to Google Drive. I want to connect it to OneDrive, device, Dropbox, depend. OK, I would recommend that you use one of them so that it will be much easier for you to share the work online with your group members. OK, now when you click on create new diagram, it will have a flowchart as a template, but I would recommend create a blank one and save it. Let's say on the download, I will save it and save. Now this is a flowchart, blank page. OK, you can simply make it remove the grids to make it more plain. OK, don't use page view. Page view means limited. I can simply remove it. So it's entire whiteboard. Now, if you want to create flowchart, all the notations are here, but they are mixed. I would recommend just click on a flowchart, type here, flow chart, and enter. OK, now it will have everything here. Oh, let me sorry. I just use this one. Start. OK, and I just put it here, and I double click inside and write start. Then after, I want to ask the user to enter a number, input function here. So data input. Enter number 1. I can also extend it. Done. I can control CV, copy paste, and here I can write number 2. Then I have to calculate num1 plus num2. It shows activity in process. I will write here add equal to num1 plus num2. And last, I have to just print the variable. Display add. And last, I can end it. Once it's done, my task is to connect it. My flowchart is done. Okay, you can align it later. It's up to you. This is a flowchart. Now you can depend on your exercise, depend on your level of program. It will be complicated, but this is how the flowchart is created using a tool. Now I have used start and stop. I have used input and output. I have used calculations and processing. I have used arrow. The only one I'm missing, this diamond shape. Now where it used depend on an exercise. I'll give you an example. Let's say you're driving. I'll just take the same Google Map example, which might help you to connect with the same scenario. When you're driving, you reach to a roundabout, 4 options available. Sorry, 3 directions, left, right, or go straight. You choose one of them. Am I right? Can you choose all of them at the same time? No, you can only select one. Same thing conditional. Conditional allow you to go with one side of the output. Second, when you select to go left, right, or go straight, there are some reason behind your selection. Am I right? If your home is on the right-hand side, you will go right. If it's a shorter from left-hand side, you will go left. Am I right? This happened? So this thing, there's always a reason to select a path that is justified as condition. Now let's say I want to just modify this program. That same program asks the user to enter 2 numbers, print the total, calculate the total, and also after display, show a message whether the value as total is odd or even. Okay, now in that case, what you do? You will write this condition because now before ending the code, you have 2 options. Your code can display that total is odd value. Okay, and total is even value. Now it means either you go by displaying this thing, either you go by displaying this thing. Is it fine? Now, what conditions you think you should have to calculate a value is odd or even? What you should do to check? Divisible by 2 and the output remaining balance is 0. So the condition will be if the add which we have calculated modulus 2 equal to 0. Okay, if I divide any value with 2, if the remaining balance is 0, that is a even number. And if it's not 0, it's an odd number. So if I just simply put this way, and if I just simply put this way, and I will simply write, let's just write it this way. Add modulus 2, and that is my remainder. My remainder is this. And now I will write here, if remainder is equal to 1, please print it's an odd value. And if remainder is equal to 0, please print it's an even value. And after printing, please end the code. Now, this will be your conditional programming. Based on the condition you started, everything happened. But whenever you have a question, if this happened, do this. If this happened, do this. In that case, we use the decision box. And this decision box helps us to identify how many conditional programming or how many if condition we are supposed to use. Now, so far, what we have learned from here till here, because every single program we have written so far in last week was in a sequence. So we call it sequential programming. OK, because everything in a sequence, you cannot skip first part. If I run this program till here to here, I would say start, enter number 1, enter number 2, calculate total and display total. Every single step must be run by the system. System cannot decide that I should skip this one or skip this one. But the moment you come on conditional programming, it is required when you have to run only the recommended code. Let's say if condition true, run this one, otherwise run this one. This is how it works. So you can skip which part should be run by code by system, which should be not running by my system. Now, last thing, as I said, from a roundabout, you can only select one option here. If your code go on the left-hand side and end, that's it. This will never run. If it goes from right-hand side, this will never run. Only one part of the code will run. So in an if statement, you might have multiple outputs, but only one in a step will work. Any questions now? You should have questions. I just try to demonstrate, but yeah, I will just try to write code. We will cover all conditionals. Don't worry. It's just to give you an idea that how you use flowchart. Once you created your flowchart, you can use to add shadows. You can use to add sketch. You can use to add background colors so that this part will be different color. Up to you what you want. OK, so you can simply change it what you want. Once you are done, just click on file. You can also change the color of these things. OK, to show that, OK, this part is done by one person, this part is done by other person. Once you are done, you just have to click on file, export as, and once you're going to export, click on PDF or PNG. I don't recommend JPEG. The reason is JPEG, you cannot open it again for editing purpose. So if you are saving it as a PNG, it will allow you to open the file again for editable work. OK, you can use another options such as HTML, allow you XML URL. You can share as a link with one of your group members. So, or otherwise, if you have created a Google Drive login, you can share it and anyone you can collaborate it at the same time. So once you are done, file, export as PNG, put a border 10. 10 means just make sure that from the last shape, there should be some space. No. Okay. And then after export, okay, save my file saved here, and I can open it. And you can simply submit it as your assignment for assessment 2, not for assessment 1. I just created so that you have a knowledge that because when you're going to work on your assessment 2, you can simply refer to this recording and we will have a discussion again that how to create flowchart effectively. If you have some doubts, I will always be there to help you out. OK, but just to give you an idea that this first part till here is a sequential programming. After that, it's a conditional. So we have 4 different levels in this trimester. Sequential programming, which we already discussed so far in week 1 and 2. Week 3, conditional programming. OK. Then after we will also learn about iteratives, but the main thing will be a functional programming, which will be in week 7, then object-oriented programming, week 9 and 10. So this will be a journey. Now I'm just closing it. OK. So let's go back to the code. OK. Let me just back to the slides. So this is about your flowchart, pseudocode and your algorithm, pseudocode, and flowchart. If anyone has a question, please let me know. I'll just go to the next part. Any questions? No? All clear? Easy? Seems easy, yeah. Okay, if there's no question, we should work on conditional. Now, conditional programming, just showing the slides. Conditional programming you use when you think that your program have multiple conditions or multiple flows, okay? Multiple flows that when you think that one part of the code must be running in some scenarios. There are so many examples we have. For example, let's say ask the user to enter a value and check whether it's odd or even. Or I will make it simple. Ask the user to enter a value and check whether it's a positive or negative. I'll just take this example, okay, and to demonstrate. Now, whenever you are working with conditional programming, first thing you have to identify that how many outputs, how many conditions I'm thinking of. And every single conditional should have a different message. So if it's negative, it should print it's a negative value. If it's positive, it should print it's a positive value. And if it's nothing out of them, it should provide appropriate message. Now, it's not here. I will go here. So let me just close it, delete everything. Okay. Now I will just go with the same question that ask the user to enter any value and check whether it's positive or negative. Now the first thing is you have to ask the user to enter a value. So num equal to input, please enter a number of your choice. Okay, simple. The moment you run it, it will ask the user to enter a number and I will be able to enter it. Working. Now, if I go with the algorithm, the first step was ask the user to enter a number. Now, the second step was, as per the exercise, print if it's positive or negative. So in any scenario where you hear these words or you just simply recall these words or whenever you're paraphrasing, sometimes these exact words are not there, but when you reread them in your mind, you will be able to add these words. For example, if, however, whether, these kind of words, conditional words. So if you can see these words, it means you have to use conditionals. Now, in this case, the condition has to be print positive if it's positive value, print negative if it's a negative value. OK. Now, if I write the code here to check whether it's more than or less than by something, I can always check it here. Let's say my num is more than 0 or not. How you check any number is positive? How you check a number positive or negative? Anyone?
Compare with null, and if it's big null, positive, true.
Sorry?
No, I mean, yes, realize compare with null and make boolean.
Yeah, compare with 0. So if
yeah.
it's more than 0, it's positive. If it's less than 0, it's negative. OK. No, for positive, negative, modulus is not used, I'm sure, right? I don't know. But modulus used for odd and even. You use odd and even because it's not recommended. Simple question for positive, negative is just using a 0, more than and less than. Now, if I just write more than 0, less than 0, it will show you error. The reason is because I asked the user to enter a number and number saved as string. Now, if it's a string, you cannot apply operators to compare whether it's more or less. You can compare string to string. You cannot compare. I can compare string of 4 less than string of 5. It's true. Fine. But I cannot write that 4 less than string of 5. Sorry. Because comparison you can do only in the similar values, integer to integer, sorry, numeric to numeric, same categories, or string to string. So it means if I have to go with a comparison to compare with 0, which is an integer, I have to convert this value to an integer. So I will write here integer. Okay. And in that case, whatever value a user will enter will be converted to integer. I run it. Let's say 5. And can I check num less than 0? False. At least it's working. Okay. Now, when I'm asking the user to enter any number, he might can enter a float. Am I right? He might enter. Now, in that case, my program will crash. So I will use here eval. So if we enter in integer, it will be integer. If we enter float, it will work. Now, first part is done. We are working, our code is working, asking the user to enter a number and converting into a correct data type. Now, display messages. What messages must be displayed? If it's positive, print positive. So the way I'm saying that if it's positive, if it's positive. Okay, this is a syntax. You write a if word and then you write the condition and then end that. Now, if you want to check this condition, just put it here and check. Is it showing true? Because the number I have entered earlier as 5. Is it more than 0? Yes. So it's true. So after this colon, the moment you press enter, you will find the next line start with at least 4 spaces. This is what we discuss indentation. Indentation means the code is aligned towards right with 4 spaces, and it shows whatever the code I have written after this indentation will only run when the condition is true. So I will write here print positive. Okay. I can write multiple lines as well here. Print. There's no limit that you have to write only one line. Okay, all good so far? Now when you run it, enter the choice, number of your choice, 5.7, positive. Thank you, working. Now this code, first of all, indentation, it's one of the important part because number one, it shows that this indented code link to this condition. If you have missed this indentation, let's say this part, it means this condition, this line, this statement, it's not related to any condition. It will run every time. The moment it's inclined towards right hand side, it will only run when the condition is true. If it's back, it will run every time. Make sense now? Questions? Questions? Doubts? Oh, that I will cover if you want to. Yeah, that's right. So if you want to add neutral, you can use it as well. So we will cover multiple one. Thank you for sharing. Yeah. Anyone? Any questions? Yes, Avi.
Yeah, I just didn't understand the last part. Like then when it will run every time and when it will run only the single time. There's the part. The last part you just said. Like the
Oh, sorry.
the thing you run the program and it shows positive thank you, and you last at the end you said that it will when
So
it will
that
run all the time and when it will run all the single only the single time.
So for example, let's say here, can you see this line? If I run it and I enter 6, it's working. The thank you, it's printing every time. But the moment I put this thank you at the back, sorry, earlier the thank you was printing only when the number was positive. Okay, let me just show you again. If I run again and I enter here -9, is it a positive? Is it more than 0?
No.
No. So nothing will happen.
Okay.
Because I give a command to print only when the value is positive. And if you can see, thank you is also not printing. But if I put this thank you at the out of indentation, what will happen now? If I enter 5, it will print positive. Thank you. And if I run again, -9, the thank you will still be there because I put it out of this indentation. If it's inside the indentation, it belongs to this condition. The moment it's out, it belongs to the code. Okay, so I always suggest this way. Can you see this colon? Consider this colon as a door, and the output of this condition to true will be your key. The moment you output is condition is true, it means your door, and you simply go to this indentation part. Whatever in the indentation will run. You have access to it. The moment you are out of the door again, and it will run. So every time the indented code only run when you have output of condition as true. Any questions now with this? Anyone? No. Okay. Now, so far we have for positive one. Now, when I enter a negative value, nothing happened because I given a code, like I just created a code where I'm giving a direction to the system that only run these two lines when the value is more than 0. The output of value is more than it's true. If it's not true, don't do anything. But I want to do it. So I want here else. Now consider else as a word called otherwise. Okay. Now if I just re-paraphrase this question, ask the user to enter a number and print positive if it's more than 0, otherwise it's negative. So else will be a bunch of all remaining conditions. So otherwise. Now otherwise means if it's more than 0, positive, otherwise it's negative. And I will also mention here, print some other line. Thanks. Not thank you, thanks. Okay. Now in that case, what happened? Now here, when I run the code, based on my input, the code will decide which block of code should I run. If it's 9 more than 0, oh, this is true. Only this will run. This will not run. So now my code can decide which side it should go. It should go left side or right side. Second thing, only one condition should be true, and it has to be in a sequence. The code will start looking for the condition from top to bottom. The moment it finds one true, it will not check further and come back to print. So let's say when I started the code again, I entered 9. It's true. Is it num more than 0? Yes. It will run these two lines. Condition satisfied? Yes. It will not run remaining part. And it will come back to next code. So positive, thank you, and hi. Or I would write here code completed. So this way you can decide that code will run what lines and what lines should not be run. Any questions now? Yes, Lilia? Cannot hear you. Anyone else can hear?
No, unfortunately, without sound.
Perfect. Yeah, Lilia, I cannot hear you. Still no luck. You might have connected your earport, but the mic is not connected. Cannot. No, no. You can log in again. It's better if you log in again. Okay, no problem. Okay. And I will wait for your questions. Don't worry. Okay. So this is one part. Now, if I run again and I enter -9, it's showing negative. Now, why it's negative showing? Because when the code started, I entered -9. It first checked this condition. Is number more than 0? The output came false because number was -9. It cannot be more than 0. So the moment it becomes false, it never goes inside. It goes to the next condition. What is the next condition? Else. It means everything remaining. So it means by default it will run and it stays negative. Okay. Now, one more. If I run and I enter 0, what it will print?
Negative, because it's less than 0.
Yeah. So it depends on what you want to do. If you want to use 0, it will print negative. Because I have used here else. Now, else means all the remaining conditions. Now, for positive, negative, there are 3 conditions. Whether it's a more than 0, whether it's less than 0, or whether it's equal to 0. So less than 0 and equal to 0, they both are inside else part. Now, let's say we want to have separate condition. So what I will write here. Now, always remember some rules. Whenever you have a condition with a word called if, we always have to specify the condition. If we are not only else, because else itself considered as all the remaining condition. So we don't have to specify a condition there. OK, so you have to mention a condition wherever you find if word there. So if num more than 0, else this one. Now you want to write one more condition here. And some student will think that, OK, I will write num less than 0. Print negative. Now what happened? Now when I run it and I enter here 5, what will be the output? If I enter 5, I hope I'm audible. Negative. OK. OK. Now understand it. I entered 5 here. OK. Go from top. Always go line by line. This is how interpreter work. OK. If num more than 0, what is the output? 5 is more than 0 or not? Output is true or false? True. So it will run this one. Now I have another word, if. Is less than 0? No. False. It will go to else. And this way, this code will provide wrong output. Why they are wrong output? All of them. The reason was this word, if. If there is one if condition, it is considered as a roundabout where you have 3 exits. But if you have 2 conditions, you will have one roundabout and the second roundabout after that. So if you skip the first, if you go with the first one, you also have to go to the second one. The same thing happened here. I just show you with some demonstration which might help you. Let's say if I use 2 conditions, num input, num1, OK, and this is an input. Now how 2 conditions look like? Condition here, num more than 0, and print positive, which is fine. And then after what you have done, you have used another if condition here. Num less than 0. And now you are saying print negative or another message. Now, in that case, the code will start from here. It will check this. After checking this, it will check this one. So unnecessary, you are checking every single condition because you have created different blocks. So that's why when you think that you are going to use one condition which have multiple outputs, instead of you are using multiple if, you are using here elif. Now elif is considered as else if. So what else if means? That check this one. If this is not correct, check this one. If this is not correct, check this one. Now in this case, when I run again and I enter 5, because this everything is a part of a single condition. If I enter 5, it will only print positive. Thank you, code completed. Because this was true, it never checked this, it never checked this. So when you have one condition, we use if. If you have two conditions, we use if and else or if and elif. But if you have multiple conditions for one, like multiple output of one condition, we always use if, elif, 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 and else. Any questions now? All good? Questions, doubts? Yes, Lilia?
Sorry, could you explain again about elif?
Okay, I'll just give you an example. Now, in this scenario, if you can see what happened, the code started. There was two outputs, but I want to add multiple output, multiple conditions in one exercise. When you think that multiple conditions are there in one exercise, the if statement always start with a single if. But the second time you want to add a condition, you cannot use any condition with else. You have to use elif. I give you an example. Let's say you are working on a program where you have to check whether the a student have a pass, credit, distinction, high distinction, or fail. Now, in that case, how many conditions you have? 5 conditions. So you will write if marks are more than 85 and less than, sorry, if marks are more than 50, he is pass. More than 65, he is this. More than 75, more than 85. Now, in that case, all these conditions related to same evaluation. And we use if statement with elif, 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 elif there. So if you have multiple conditions to add in the same solution, we always use elif. Guessing people make their own reusable switch statement function in Python since it does not like it's built in it. Yeah, they use it their own. OK, that is true. OK, now if anyone has any question, please ask. Lilia, is it fine? I will demonstrate some more example because that's why I started with cannot hear. Laura, you have any question? Anyone? OK, now also if statement, any if statement start with always if always have a condition with it. If you want to have more specific, so I would say if you have a specific condition based on what your code will evaluate, we use if and elif. And if you have putting all the remaining conditions in one, we call it else. Now just understand what this means. It's a 0. Now what will happen? Let me just write here, print thank you, first of all. OK, now if it's more than 0, if it's less than 0, if I run it again, I enter -9. -9 means it will check. Is it more than 0? False. Not running this one. Is it less than 0? Yes, it's running this one. and then it will not check even this condition, because out of multiple, only one should be true. If the first true comes, that's it, it will come out to it. Thank you. Now, in this one, what this represent? 0. What condition you think 0 satisfy? If I don't want to write else here, and I want to write a specific condition, what condition should I write? Else is already there, Laura. Okay. Yeah, num is equal to 0. Now it means I will write here another elif condition. So it shows that this else word is only required when you want to put all the remaining conditions in one output. Common output for multiple conditions. Then we require else. Otherwise, we use specific conditions. So you can have your if statement always start with if and can have as many as elif, The more condition you mention, the more elif you will have in this one. And last else is only required when you want to have common output for multiple conditions. I will try to write some more code which might help you to understand the scenario, okay? But this is how it works. I just put it here in the chat. Now, coming back to operators, we have used some operator here, and we already discussed that any operator which operate in Python, any sign which operate in Python, it's called operator. So we have this one, we have this, we call this one as more than, and we call this one as less than. So left hand side is more than right hand side, left hand side is less than right hand side. We also use more than and equal to. And we also have, sorry, not more than, this one is more than equal to, and this one is. Okay. So these are the signs we already know, everyone. Now, there is also one more sign, and we call this equal to. The reason we are using double equal sign, because in Python, every operator has a single use. So this single time equal already used for assignment operator. So we cannot use it here to check whether left hand side equal to right hand side. That's the reason we use these 5 operators. And this double equal is used to check whether left hand side equal to right hand side. Comparison operator. So these all. Okay, so we have used equal here, less than, more than. So we call them everything comparison operator. We also call them conditional operator, which allow you to check the condition output, whether it's true or false. Okay. Any questions, anyone? Anything you want to ask? Yes, Avi?
Can you just repeat the shortly the last thing, like
Okay, this
from
one.
more than, yeah.
Okay, so equal, okay, what happened? We already discussed this single equal sign last week, which already have a reserved meaning in Python called assignment operator, which is used for assigning values to variables. Now you cannot use, because this sign already has a meaning in Python, you cannot use it for another calculation or something. So that's the reason we use double equal sign. Double equal sign has a meaning to check whether the left hand side value equal to right hand side or not. So whenever you want to check left hand side equal to right hand side, we always write double equal sign. Okay. So just write it here. I just put it here in the chat. Okay, now, before going for the break, just want to write one program which might help you to. Yes, Daniel?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify the where you put the more than equal to, that should be or, not and. So just coming up.
Yeah, sorry, my bad. Yeah, I just missed it. More than or equal to. Yes, I just corrected.
Yeah, because and is
and is for
different.
both of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, more than or equal to, and the same thing. That's why I just missed it.
Yeah, same with the second one. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah, more than or equal to, less than or equal to. Yeah, perfect. Okay. Thank you. Just give me one sec. Okay, now I will just go with one exercise. Good. Now, I just use one example for just to give you an idea that, okay, how conditional programming use effectively, because that first one is more basic one. But let's say I go with the same example related to marks. Okay. So we're creating a program to ask the user to enter the marks for assessment, and I convert it to eval based on that value they enter. I enter input and I simply write here, please enter your marks. Now, if the user have entered more than 50 and less than 50. So if I say if marks are more than equal to 50. The moment I write more than equal to, it means if it's more than 50 or if it's equal 50. Okay. Print pass. Else print fail. Now what will happen if I run the program? Oh, sorry, this is the first one. I just have to make sure it's commented out here. So if I enter the marks, let's say 49, fail. If I run again, enter the marks 50, pass. 51, pass. So my code is working. Okay. Now, I also want, because this is a single message for all the categories. And I want different messages for different categories. So in that case, let me just write it in another way. One more, I can try one more. Let's say in this one, I just cut it. And I write here, if marks are less than 50, fail, else print pass. Okay. Now you run it. It will work the same way. If you enter 51, pass. If you enter 50, pass. And if you enter 49, fail. I just switch that position up. Now, if I want to add more conditions, if it's less than 50, it's fail, it's fine. But if it's not less than 15, I want to have one more condition. If marks are less than equal to, sorry, less than 65. That's it. Okay, I will write here print. He will be pass. Now what happened? Now when I run it, let me just remove this one first. When I run it, it will check 51. Is it less than 50? No. Is it less than 65? Yes, it's working. and I put all the remaining conditions inside more than, let's just make it more. Okay. Now the grade is higher than pass. Okay, so let's just make it here. Grade higher than pass. Now, what is higher than pass? Because the person have more than 50, 65. Okay. Now I put all the conditions here. Even credit is here. Even distinction is here. Even high distinction is here. If you have single message for multiple conditions, we put them into else. If you have separate message for separate condition, we use if and keep adding them elif, elif. For example, I will add one more condition now. Elif mark is less than 75. Print credit. Now, remaining is more than credit. Let's run it. Run, and I enter here 80, higher than credit, yes. I run 90, higher than credit. I run 100, higher than credit, and I enter 64. Pass, which is fine, and I enter 74. So far, good? Any questions with this? No.
Oh, teacher, I have questions. I guess if you will put inside 20, for example, it will work and give you all output.
Sorry?
Can you write 20? Because it will pass any conditions if you will put less than 50.
No, sorry, can you repeat? I'm just unable to.
If you will write right now, for example, 20, scores was 20,
Yeah.
it will pass every conditions. So it's
No. If I write 20 here, it will first go to this condition. Is it less than 50?
Yes,
the
right.
output is true. It will just run fail and it will not run anything, and it will run whatever written outside of this condition, such as print code completed. It never even go to other conditions because this is all considered as one if statement and only one should be tested positive. Rest everything will be left with. Now when I run it, fail, that's it. It will not even check these conditions. It only check the next condition when the first one is false.
Okay, thank you.
Most welcome. Any other questions, anyone? Yes, Ryan. Oh, sorry. Your voice is not clear, Ryan.
Sorry, I wrote a question in chat.
Okay, you're asking about that eval security risk, am I right?
Yes.
We are not going to discuss that one because normally there are some issues with that one, but it's actually in the beginner stage. So we want to make sure that, okay, you start writing it or start learning it, but there are some security risks because it can execute some malware related code in this one. So right now we are not going to learn it because instead of not allowing you to use, I would always recommend that you should use it. But when you go in an advanced one, definitely it causes some malicious activities. Okay, Ryan.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, so we are not. You will find a lot of like resources where they mention that it's not appropriate when they have some security risks, specifically when you're providing access to sensitive data and all. So eval can lead to this one. But in the beginner level of code, because when we are specifically working on how to use and what is the effective use of every single code. The moment you go with the second level, which we could talk about after object-oriented programming, and we are using application, we are uploading our applications into, we are linking our files to our application. In that case, it works. We needed to use it more carefully. Any questions more? Anyone? Anyone? I'm not received. Okay. Okay, I think so. Let me just good. Yeah, so we are not going to learn that eval security, but if you want, I can simply discuss it after the class. It's actually a bit lengthy topic, a bit lengthy. Okay, not take a lot of time. Okay, but just want to go with first this one. If you want to add more conditions, simple thing that you have to use elif mark less than 85, and I will write here print distinction. Now, the moment I write distinction here, it means whatever remaining will be more than distinction. Okay. Now, if I go further, I can also add for high distinction. Now, can anyone help me out? What should I write here for high distinction? Anyone? Equal to 85. And
I can't write it for some reason.
sorry?
You want greater than or equal to 85.
Yes. So you can write greater than equal to, or you can write less than equal to 100 as well.
For some reason, chat wouldn't let me put the greater than symbol.
Yeah. So yeah, no, actually, there's a reason I have not used greater than. The reason was because I was trying to remove all these conditions one by one from here, and I was going in the ascending order. So if you're going in the descending order, in that case, you have to use a greater than sign. For example, if I start, if marks are more than equal to 85 high distinction, the second one should be. So I will cover that part after the break, where this sequence also plays an important role, that which sequence you have to have. Ascending order will less than, descending order with more than. But if you want to get rid of it, there is a concept called composite operator, which we will discuss after the break. So I always try to emphasize on first just understanding that, okay, what problem we can face with these concepts, so that if we are facing this problem, we should go to the advanced one. Okay, so so far is this one. Greater than high distinction. Now I will not say greater than high distinction, because after 100 there is nothing, but there is still remaining something, incorrect marks. Now in that case, what happened? If someone entered 120, I run it from here. I entered 120, and now it will start from here. Is it less than 50? No. Is it less than 65? No. 75? No. 85? No. 100? No. It means it's definitely here, because there is no condition, and it will tell you incorrect marks. The moment I start running with this one, 20, it will just check, is it less than 50? Yes, output true. Okay, so it's 4:38. We should take a 15-minute break, but after the break, I will definitely discuss that what are the consequences of using this sequence, or what are the consequences of using, like why I'm using this into ascending order and descending order. Okay, so it's 4:39, should take a 15-minute break, equal to 5:53, 54. Let's say 54. Okay, see you at 5:54 after 15 minutes time. Oh, sorry, my bad. Not 5:54, 4:44. 4:54. Sorry, everyone. 4:54, not 1 hour, 15 minutes break. And see you then. Thank you. So can we start now, everyone?
Yes.
Thanks. Thank you. I hope everyone is back. Now, getting back to the exercises. Okay, just sharing a link. I think so because Ryan discussed about it. Just sharing one link because it's detailed and it's a bit advanced, I'm sure. But if someone have also interest to go with it, this is the one which also like explain in detail that why you should not use eval when you're talking about asking the user to input. The reason is when you are, I'm not going to explain in detail, but just for your reference, when you're working, there are some functions specifically with eval and exec. They are the one which can also run arbitrary code in your system. And what happened that when you're asking the user to enter the input and he can simply, now here you are asking the user to input. So you are going to run your code and you are not going to link your application with some databases where it's got getting the link. Just give me 1 second. Yeah, effectively. So in that case, what happened, you can, any user can simply enter a code or command to wipe up your system, to file management system and everything. So what happened that eval try to convert every single string literal to integer or float, but if there's some arbitrary code that also converted. And if the command also have to, like if there's any command which need to be executed, it will simply execute it. The moment it execute, it can impact on your database or file management system. That's the reason we always try to avoid. But in this stage, till this intermediate level, we recommend you to have effective use of it so that in the next stage, when you start working on learning the concepts such as what is, I think so there is one more we use it, ast.literal eval, which is more easy and more effective to use. Okay, you can also use eval expressions, but start discussing these concepts might get more detailed and more taking more time. So that's the reason we just try to have it to a basic understanding of it. But it's a good one, like because there are so many concepts which are not advised to use, and but still we use it in a beginner level and you will find the same concept everywhere. But yes, there are some concepts which you should avoid, and that's the reason we always discuss that. If you think that a user will enter only integer, use integer rather than eval. Try to use integer and float, but eval when you think that your program might crash. But the moment we learn exception handling, we can limit the code by applying expression exceptions. Okay. Perfect. That's good. I hope it makes sense. Anyone has any questions? Anything you want to ask? You can also check on Python documentation a detailed understanding about this topic. I think so. There was one. You can find it. No, I will share it later if you want. But yes, I always prefer to. It's no issues. Okay. Now the next part. Just sharing my screen. Now the question was using the less than sign and more than sign. Sometimes we try to write conditionals, not in a sequence. We always tend to add conditions the way we came to know that, okay, this condition must be added. I hope my screen is visible to everyone. Okay. Now, in this one, let's say what will happen if I just put this condition on the top. So first of all, our programming conditions start with if, and then this become elif. Now, if I am using only into less than sign and I jumbled up my conditions, the issue will be when I run it and I enter here 99. Now, without jumping to a solution, just try to understand the code. I enter 99, it will ask whether it's less than 100 or not. It will say yes, and it will show high distinction, which is correct. But on the other hand, when I enter 5, is it less than or equal to 100? Is it true, false?
It's true, of course. True.
It's true. So it means it will print high distinction and it will not run anything else. So with 5 marks, you can also get high distinction, okay? Don't consider this, but just to share, sometimes this less than or more than, if you are working in a sequence, if you write your code in a sequence, if you're going with ascending order, it's recommended to use less than. If you're going in descending order, it's recommended to use more than sign instead of this one. So if you just change the sign, if marks are more than equal to 85, that will make sense for the specific category. If I write now, if I run it, is it more than 85? 99, high distinction. But when I run now and I enter here 60, is it more than 85? No, it will go to the next one and it will check. Now it's saying pass. I have entered 60. It's working because it first goes here, then second. Now it's recommended to, if you're using more than sign in a descending order, less than sign for ascending order. Now it's complicated, okay? The moment you add a condition, you have to change the entire sequence, or you have to add a condition at a proper place. So far, is it clear so that I can just simply go to the next part? Did you understand the consequences of using only single sign or more than sign? Because you are only using one side conditions. You are not putting limits. We talk about that start and end. Right now, you're just simply saying if the marks are less than 85, it means if the maximum limit is 85, that's it. If the marks are less than 65, it means if the maximum limit is 65 and less than 65, it means that's it. From where to start? So it means now we have to think about putting two conditions together. If you're using one condition, it's fine. For example, a number is positive, negative, but when you have limits, when you have starting and in between, in that condition, we use composite operators. OK, a composite operator which allow you to combine multiple conditions together. Now I just use the whiteboard again and try to write something about composite operator. So there are three composite operator. Three. One is and or not. OK, now where to use which one? They all are used to combine multiple conditions. Now let's say if I use and, where should I use and? So I try to use some example which might give you an idea that in which scenario we have to use it. And is used to the condition where both the condition are true. Yes, Jan, thank you. Yeah, so if marks are more than equal to 85 and less than equal to 100. Now, when we talk about both the conditions are true, if one of them is wrong, the entire condition will become false. I give you one example which might help you to remember it. Let's say username, password. OK, username and password. Now, if you want a successful login, you should have username also true and password also true. If anyone is wrong, you cannot sign in successfully. Make sense now? So whenever you want both conditions in the both side of AND word are true, we use AND word. OK, so for example, let's say in this case, if I say left hand side and right hand side of this word must be true, then only it will consider as true. What is or means? Or means either left hand side or right hand side, either one of them. Here I will say both of them. Both must be true. Anyone can be true. Now, give you an example. Let's say you want to reset your password and you are about to receive an OTP. You can receive on anything. If you have the mobile number or you have an email access. If you have both of them, still you can reset. If you only have mobile number, you don't have an email access now, you can reset. If you have an email, not mobile number, you can access. So when any of the option can work for you, both can work, it's fine. But if anyone also work, it's good. So at least one should be satisfied. So these are the one which allow you to put that conditions together. Not is just used to reciprocate the output of a condition. For example, if I say it's a pass, or I write here not fail, they both will be considered same. Okay. Any questions with these ones? Okay, let me ask this way. Is it clear? Yes or no? Put in the chat.
Yes.
Thank you. If it's not clear, please let me know. If it's clear, let me know. I will use that example to demonstrate again, but just want to make sure that you are clear. Only still left with a lot of responses. Received only 8, 24 students. Is it clear, everyone? Just asking again. Just asking a response for yes or no. If no, please let me know so that I can explain it. Now, how to use this one? I think Ryan already mentioned. Now, if I want to use here, if marks are more than equal to 85 and marks are less than equal to 100. Now what happened? That anything in between this range will be high distinction. Now, when I run this code and I enter here 99, now understand when this entire output will be true, when both left-hand side and right-hand side are true. Now, 99. Is it more than 85? True. Is it less than equal to 100? True. It means both are true. It will run high distinction working. Now, if I run again and I enter here 75, is it more than 85? False. Is it less than equal to 100? True. So it means one is false. The entire statement become false. It will go to the next one and keep going on, and it will print distinction. Now, we always recommend to use composite operator. There are many benefits. Number one, it allows you to put a limit to a condition. Second, also, like you don't have to worry about the sequence anymore. And last, you can add your code anywhere, edit the code. If let's say I have a high distinction here, and after that, I don't have to put this in a sequence. I can simply put conditions with a start and end, and it will help me to just picturize that, okay, what are the categories I'm missing? So for example, for pass, it will be marks less than 65 and marks are more than equal to 50. Okay, now in that case, if the marks are 51, is it more than 50? Yes. Less than 65? Yes. Same way here, marks less than less than 75. Oh, sorry, I'm just writing it wrong. That's for pass. I just want to write here pass because I just want to change the sequence. Now for fail, I want to write it here. If the marks are less than 50 and marks are more than equal to 0. Let's remove it. And now in that case, it's a fail. Now here I can write marks are less than 75 and marks are more than equal to 65. Okay, and here marks are less than 85 and marks are more than equal to 75. Now, in this case, I can put this condition anywhere. I don't have to worry about sequence anymore because I have just provided all the conditions that, OK, if marks are more than 85 and less than equal to 100 is high distinction. If it's less than 75 and more than equal to 65 is credit. Less than 85, more than equal to 75 distinction. Less than 65, more than 50, pass, fail. I can also change the sequence. I can put it here. And when I run it, I put 6, fail. Any questions now? Which error means, Ryan? Yes, Daniel.
Yeah, just wanted to just find out with the and or commands. For the syntax, do you have to put the brackets on either side? So it does work just by not.
If you use it, if you don't use it, you are saying about
yeah. So brackets.
These brackets, am I right?
Yeah, or actually the brackets across the whole line. So.
Yeah, so parentheses it's not compulsory, only if you are working with multiple conditions and you want to test two conditions together first. Then, like the way we work with operator precedence. OK, yeah. So when you want that there are three conditions and you want to put two condition outputs together and one separate, then it works. Otherwise, you don't need it all. OK, so there is no parenthesis required for conditions. Even I use it, if I put it this way, if I just simply write 89, it's working.
Yep. Okay.
Good. Ryan, you were mentioning about sequencing error. Can you just explain what you were asking?
Yeah. No, I just meant the previous version you wrote was error prone because it required all of the statements to be in a certain sequence or order, but because you've made them really precise, it's not error prone anymore.
Yeah. So that's a reason, because sometimes what happens when you write the code, we always tend to write in a sequence, but then our code doesn't work. And when you write your code, anytime it's always open for editing or always open to add more code. That's why we always consider that, OK, you have to make sure that you use a limit or using composite operator. But if you can write your code without anything composite operator, there's no problem. Because you're satisfying the requirement or not. OK. Now, if in this code, we have if, elif, what else recommend? Daniel, your hand is raised. You have any question?
Oh, no, that was from the last one. Sorry.
OK, no problem. So in this code, what does incorrect means? Incorrect marks. So I always suggest whenever you're working with numbers or multiple conditions, this draw a line which might always help for. OK, so we are working with 0. OK, 0 to 50. We covered it. This is fail. We also covered equal to 50, 65, 75, 85, and 100. And if you check your code, you have covered equal to 0. You have covered between equal to 50. This way as well. Everything is covered. If anything is missing in your code, it means that for that situation, that will show incorrect code. For example, let's say if I'm missing this part. OK, and when I run now and I enter 75, it shows incorrect mark because I'm just missing this equal part here. So that's why I always suggest to just draw a line or check all the conditions are matching or not. OK, now what conditions are incorrect right now? Anything less than 0, anything more than 100, they are invalid values. So in that case, these considered as incorrect marks. If I run it, If I enter now anything -9, incorrect marks, and 120 incorrect marks. But again, what we are using? Else. Why we are using else? Same message for two conditions. One condition is less than 0, and the another condition is more than 100. So if I want to write here instead of else elif to specify the condition, I will write elif mark are less than 0. Now I will not write here end, because when we write end, we want both the condition to be met. So we talk about between the limits. But here we have both opposite limit. Once we are going less than 0. So when we write this way, more than 0, less than 50, we are talking about this area. More than 50, less than 65, this area, in betweens. So end is when you use the numbers with limits from start and end. But when you're talking about opposite sides, any number with less than 0 and any number more than 100, we're talking about opposite side. So in that case, we use or. Or we can simply say that any condition should match more than 100. Now, in this case, if I run now, I enter -9, it will start from here. More than 85? No. Less than 100? Yes, but it's an and, not working. Less than 50? Yes. More than 0? No, not working. So in all the conditions, one is true, one is false, but for end, both should be true. But here we are using or, so it means either one of the condition can be true. Is it less than 0? Yes. Is it more than 100? No. So true, and it will say incorrect. Okay, so you don't have to have else there. You can have all conditions justified. That's it. It will work. Any questions now? Now, if you want separate messages, you can have different messages for different errors. I would write this way. Let's say if marks are less than 0, I will write X. So after this, I will print this, but I will also apply a condition. If the marks are less than 0, I will print a message. Marks and not be negative. OK, and on the other hand, I will write here elif print marks cannot be more than 100. Now, elif, it will be mark if more than 100. OK, done. Now when I run it, if I enter 120, marks cannot be more than 100. If I enter 100, it's high distinction. If I enter -9, it's working. Any questions? So this is where you use or, this is where you use and. When you want that output must be displayed when the both conditions should be true, or in that case, we use and. If any one condition can be true, we use or. OK. Any questions? Anyone? Yes, Daniel.
Can you use a if else if inside an else?
Inside, yes, you can. For example, here, let me just write it.
No, an else. So yeah, like that. Could you inside an else? Can you do the if and else if under that, or because you said that was more
the way I'm using right now? Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can, because Okay, the way I have written earlier, it is just a representation to be specific that what condition is carry. Otherwise, you can simply write this one and it will run the same way. For example, if I write here -9, it will say incorrect marks. If I run again and put 120, it will say it cannot be 100. So else is just, you use else only when you want to cover same message for multiple conditions. That's it.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Thanks, Ryan. Yeah. So that's what I was saying, that when you have multiple conditions and when you want the output of a condition to be together, that for example, one condition and another condition true, then you want to evaluate the another condition. So you can give a parenthesis to identify that, okay, this evaluation must be done first and then the second one.
Teacher, how we can use not? Because you show and or not. Please show again.
Which one?
Not.
Not. Yeah, that I'm coming on. That I'm coming on.
Okay.
Yeah. For example, let's say the message which we have done this one. Now else, let's do this way. I will just start with one more part. First of all, to reach here to invalid value, the system have to check multiple conditions. Okay, so it's also recommended to just put it into a single if. If marks are more than 50 and more than equal to 50, because that is what required for pass. And marks are less than equal to 100, then only run these. Now, in that case, what happened? If the marks are more than equal to 50 or less than 100, then only it will go inside and check all of the condition one by one. But if it's not required, let's say I enter 120, is it invalid? It will simply go here, not here. I just want to move the pass as well. So I will just simply write here 0. Yeah. So if it's, let's say I enter here 99, then only it goes inside because it's more than 0. Yes. Less than 100. Yes. Valid marks. Then it will print here. So I can simply write here print valid marks. Now, why we do it? Because if it's invalid, it will not go through all these 5 conditions. It will simply check one condition, not going, go to the second one. So far clear? Any questions with this? Anyone? If you anyone have any questions with this one, you make categories to make sure that, okay, your code is not going with all the conditions to reach the last one. If you think that can be categorized to, actually, it's not required in the small level program, but in a bigger level program, definitely you need it because you don't want that every single condition run again and again to reach the last one, when you can simply categorize it in valid or invalid. If it's invalid, you directly show a message. Understood? Not? Yes? Any response? If it's not understood, let me know. Okay, now you're asking about not. Not is just an opposite condition. Okay, let's say this way. Can you see these values? This is for invalid. Okay, so I can also write the same values. And I will write here. And I will write parentheses here. So elif not these. So if the values are valid, print this. If these are not valid. Is it understood, Vladimir?
Yes, yes.
So what I did, I just copy the valid criteria, put it here, and I put not here. But please make sure here I use parentheses. If I remove the parentheses, that will be related to this part. So this is the area where you use parentheses, where you want the calculation of this first and then applying a condition to the next as well. So here what I will check, if the marks are more than 0, 120, let's say marks are 120. Is it more than 0? Yes. Less than 100? No. Okay, go to the next condition. Is this more than 0? Yes. Less than 100? No. What is the output of this? False. Not will convert that false to true, and it will run. Or in another way, I can simply write this way if you want some more solution, that if mark are more than equal to 50, print pass. Elif mark elif not mark less than equal to 50. So the same condition, but I just use a not here. The moment I use not here, it will check for fail. So it means if your marks are more than 50, you are pass. If your marks are not more than 50, you are fail. So I can say your marks are less than 50, but I can also say if they are not more than equal to 50, you are fail. So not is always used to just reciprocate the output of the condition. You can use this way. You can also check this way. Let's say, yep. If your password, let's say you're creating a mobile application, okay, and you want to check whether the sign-in is successful. So you will simply write a condition if username equal to the username entered and password equal to password entered, then only print sign in successful. Now, in that case, what happened? Sign in only successful when someone have entered the username, which is already similar, same to the username saved in the database. Password entered, same to the password. Now, in what scenario that will be invalid? I will just simply write sign in unsuccessful. What scenario? I can simply write here, not username similar, not password. Okay, both, but here I will use end word. Right, just give me 1 second. Not here and here. So what will happen if I enter, let's say, username correct, okay, password wrong. Oh, sorry, that might bad. This one and so if the username is not correct or the password is not correct, or even it's both are not correct, in that case, it's unsuccessful. So you can use this. Normally, we don't use this composite operator a lot in these scenarios because it is used more with loops when you're working with while infinite loop. But you just want to give you an understanding that in some conditions, you don't want to put the same condition again in opposite way. Let's say you have more conditions that what are the valid criteria for username? Okay, the mobile, the length of the name should be at least 20. It should have alphabets. It should have digits. It should have a @ sign. It should have end with .com.au. Now, so many conditions. Now, for invalid, you don't want that all the condition you are writing again in opposite one. So you can simply write same condition and write not there. Okay, so that not will just allow you to just opposite or reciprocate the output of the condition. Any questions? Anyone? Now, we still have 2 minutes and then I will go with the assessment discussion. Now, just make sure if you think that this is an exercise for your assignment, okay, and you have to create a program to ask the user to enter marks and you have to provide a message that, okay, this is your calculation. Now, you will get marks to ask the user to enter a value. But if I run now and I enter here 60, it's working. But if I enter here 60, it crashed. Any reason behind it? Why it's crashed? Anyone? Okay, Maddie. Why it's crashed? Yeah, input, and we are.
This is not integer.
Yeah, it's converting to an integer, and we are using a string. So we are using a string. We have entered a string, but we were supposed to enter a numeric. Yeah. So in that case, what we do, we should not have these kind of errors. Now we are in an initial stage at the not at the advanced stage, not in the intermediate stage, it's a beginner stage. So in that case, you can simply just rectify the issue by entering in numerics or numerical value only. Okay. Or you can give example. In that case, what happened that user will be advised to enter the correct entry, number one, or otherwise you can use some methods. There are multiple methods which allowed you to only have value entered in integer or float. Okay, in that case, what happened if someone is entering something else, it will say, okay, you have entered wrong. But so far, because that is something which we will discuss next week, sorry, not next week, week 5. We just want to make sure that you apply the basic concept what we have discussed. If you want to apply advanced, it's fine, but just want to make sure, give a detailed input to the user that, okay, what program is expecting. If you are asking, please enter the date of birth, also mention in dd/mm/YYYY format so that user will enter the date of birth in the correct format. This is number one. Second, it is providing all output, everything is fine, but you should also add comments. For example, to check valid values for invalid values. Okay. It should be meaning, it should not be that you are using something for a print function. Use it because print function itself display. Use valid variable, valid comments. Third, variable. Never use variables such as short form A, B, C, or M. Always use the detailed one, let's say mark, which makes sense, or remain, or cents, or dollar, something like this, instead of using. So what are the requirements for any assignment? Number one, you should have a detailed input prompt. You should have at least 2 comments in every single exercise. If 10 exercises, 20 comments. You should have meaningful variables. Last but not the least, you should meet all the requirement of the assessment case study. One more thing, if your assignment required to ask the user to enter multiple outputs, don't use multiple print statement. We have discussed it last week as well. For example, I will simply write here print print code completed, and I write here print. Thank you. Please don't use this way. It shows that you have it shows that you have an idea about using a print concept, but you don't have any idea how to use print with multiple lines or in multiple statements or using multiple values. You can simply print it this way. Code completed and /n, and you can also write here /n, comma, same thing. And now if I run this one, it will work. Okay. So please make sure use it effectively. Any questions? So you can use triple quote string to print the multiple lines, or you can use F string. We discussed about F string last week. I advise you to just go through this command. So we call it f string. Okay, I'll just write it here. You can also use this one. You can also use string formatting. These are the concepts which I would advise you to just go through yourself. But these are the concepts which you can use when you want to print multiple values in a single string, but you don't want to go with commas or something. Okay, any questions, anyone? Anything you want to ask about now? I can see some cameras are turned off. Might be there. It board. Avi is back. Kalesh is back. Any questions? Ryan, yes.
So will you be looking for us using print in various ways, or it's just whatever the most appropriate is? You don't care if
Most
we use all the
appropriate
different
one.
ways?
Yeah, most appropriate one. The only thing which I don't want that please don't use any print function which for example, multiple lines print, which I don't want. I don't want that for print. Let's say question number 1 for the case study, that might give you an idea, and it's a correct time to discuss that one as well. For example, this is exercise. And let me just download the PDF. Okay. So for example, let's say this exercise. I will just give you an example of question number 1, and then after I will just take your questions. So create a program that allows you to customer to enter the detail to create a new account. When you run the program, it should ask, please enter the name, mobile number, address, email address, and date of birth. Now, I don't want validation about the address, whether it has to be Australia or something. No. So we just want that user will enter. OK, the program should validate the enter detail and store them securely using appropriate data structure. Now, in that case, we will discuss next week as well that what data structure we should use. If the user registration is successful, now here we have to validate it. What is that? Age should be more than 21 and mobile number should be 10-digit. If both are correct, you will simply say, OK, you are allowed to, your account has been successfully created. Now, if I'm looking for this code, number 1, when you're asking the user to enter the details, be specific. Please enter your full name. Because if you're asking the user to enter name, I might enter my first name, and I'm waiting that you will ask me to enter last name, which you have not asked. So please enter your full name. Second, please enter your mobile number starts with 04 or 03, 08, whatever you want to write, and also mention in 10-digit so that user know that you're expecting 10-digit. OK, might be he will not enter 0. He will just simply put the mobile number. Address, please enter your address. OK, give an example. Email address, please mention it. Date of birth in DD, MM, YYYY format in digits. Always mention in digit. That's it. The moment you give a clear instructions, the user will definitely enter something wrong. If something wrong definitely enter something right. If something wrong happen, at least we have tried giving an idea to the user. Now, if something wrong happen, how to handle it? That concepts are called exception handlings. Using more advanced conditionals can be done. There is no problem. Like it's not that you cannot handle that, but it's just an entry level. Right now, we are not expecting that it has to be that if I enter my date of birth in a words, it should not crash. If it's crashing, fine, but at least you have provided a clear input. Please enter date of birth in this format, // and that's it. Once you are done, I'm expecting that you are calculating the age. Now, if you are using date of birth, there are 2 ways of doing it. Take out the last 4 digit of a string and you can use it. We will discuss it next week. Or you can also use date time libraries, OK? And that can help you to use it effectively. I will just show you 2 more, OK? Now, once you have calculated how to check the mobile number length, OK, there is a function called length which allow you to check the mobile number or length of any string. Once you are done, you have asked the user to enter everything. You have calculated. Now, when it comes to display, please make sure you read it carefully. You have to display a success message with all the entered details. Otherwise, display an appropriate. So when you are displaying a message that your account has been successfully created, you also have to mention based on the detail provided as below. And you have to mention that you have provided name, mobile number, address. We just want to make sure that you provided multiple lines. And if let's say account is not successful, let's say age is 18 years old. So you have to provide appropriate message. Account cannot be registered because age is less than 21. OK, mobile number is invalid. It should be just put invalid at least or 10 digit. OK, now at least the user know that out of the two criteria, which criteria lead to unsuccessful registration. Now, this is what we want. And in this one, at least two references, two comments. One comment you might use when you're calculating the age. One comment you can use when you're calculating, checking the length of the digit, like length of the mobile number. Now I'll just show you. Let's say if you have a name equal to Sam. OK. The moment, so the moment you run it, you want, so you write it name again, because you already created name as a string. The moment you write dot, you will get a lot of methods. OK, these are called string methods and they work with string. For example, if I want to print a name dot upper. Now, when I run this one, what it will do, it will just convert the name into uppercase. If I write lower, it will convert the name into lowercase. So these are the methods. You can also check OK, I think so. I should show you. Many students miss this one. Can you see? Mobile number is 10 digit. So what they do, they always check that the mobile number length is digit. I show you how it works. Let's say print the length of. So length is a function which allow you to check a length of any data structure. Now, when you run it, three. If I write Samuel, it will say 6. But I hope you can see here on my screen. It's a very tiny, but I'm sure that is visible. When I talk about mark, which is an integer, the size is 1. Where there are 2 characters, but there's still 1. But name has 6. The reason is name is a part of string, which has multiple characters. That's why you can check the length and it will show the number of characters. But numerics always consider as a single value. You should not use length of mark. It always remains same. OK. So far we learned string, so you can use length for a string function. Now, let's say I want to check for not mobile number, pin code. OK, let's make it more easy. Pin code. OK, and pin code is I'm asking someone to enter anything here, enter 5562. The first question comes, some students, they convert the value entered by user to integer. You don't have to convert mobile number or pin code into integer because you are not going to calculate it. The moment you convert a mobile number to integer, the first 0 is gone and the length reduced to 9, which cannot be used. So just make sure. OK, now pin code is done. How to check it's a valid? If pin code, and I will write here the length of the pin code is equal to 4, it's valid. And I write print valid and else print invalid. OK, now will it work? Working. But if I write here 552A. Oh, sorry, 55. Now is it working? It's saying valid. Because I'm just checking only length. Where the second requirement is the mobile number, and also here that the PIN code must be 4 digits, not 4 characters. So you have one more condition. Now, how to check these conditions? I just help you. It's not too difficult. Always explore. Okay, let's write it here. How to check if string as digits only. Okay, that's simple. Can you see here? The string with dot is digit. So it means you can simply get this idea. Okay, now just write here and the string, what was that? PIN code dot is digit. Now, if you want to also test before writing what you are expecting, just put it here and check. It says true or false. It means false means it's not having digit. True means having digit. So you can also write here true. If you're not writing true, by default is conditions expected as that, okay, it's equal to true. But if you're writing same, okay, now when you run it, it will say invalid. Why? Because it's 4 length, but it's not having all digit. But the moment I write here 0, it's valid. This is how you check the length and how many digits it carries. So please make sure you validate it effectively. Second, sorry, where's that assessment? I've opened it. Just give me 1 second, everyone. I just opened an assessment. Yeah, here. So please make sure you use 2 comments. And sometimes some students miss this line as well. It's only more than 21. It's not more than or equal to 21. So you should exclude that equal part. It should be more than 21. I hope it makes sense. OK, so please make sure you go through the requirements because we have created in such a way that you have to go in the details. Sometimes what happens that some students just ignore it and then can lead to some reduction in marks. Same question number 2. I still have 10 minutes, so I just try to cover some part. Question number 2, same thing. You are asking the user to enter the dimensions in length, width, and height in meters. And you can simply write that, let's say someone entered 333. So the area is 27. 1 cubic meter can hold 100. How much can hold? 2700. OK, it's fine. So it will print 2700 is the maximum limit based on the value you have entered 333. But let's say I enter the dimensions 10, 10, and 9. What is the area? 900 square meter. How much value I can hold? 90,000 kg. Now, what is the maximum limit? 5,000. So what condition you will apply? If the weight is more than 5,000, print the maximum limit of the maximum limit is 5,000 only. Or your simply message, print a message. Your vehicle can carry a maximum limit of 5,000. That's it. If it's less than 5,000, let's say 2,800, your vehicle can carry 2,800 kg of material. That's it. OK. Delivery time estimation. You have to ask the user to enter the. Yeah, you have to ask the user to enter the distance of route in kilometers and average time. So for example, let's say I enter 3,000 kilometers and I enter my speed is 60 kilometers per hour. So based on the detail, it will say, OK, how much time it will take. I'm sure 50 hours it will take. 3,000 kilometers and 60 kilometers per hour is the speed. So 3,000 distance divided by speed equal to hour, which is 50 hours. Now, it also has some conditions. If the delivery time is more than 15, after every 15 hours, there should be an 8-hour rest. So if it's 50 hours, 15, 15, 15, so you will have 24 added. This is how it works. Okay, calculate total cost. Okay, so in that way, you are asking the user to enter the weight of the goods and delivery distance. If the user enter, let's say the weight of the goods are 200 kg and delivery distance is 10 kilometer, you will calculate based on this one. And you also apply that minimum delivery charges. If the total delivery charges is coming 25, it should say minimum delivery charges are $30. But if it's more than that, it should also add 5% discount if it's more than 100 kilometers. So conditions are, so what you have to do, input, calculate, conditions, and output. These are the 4 things. Only in 2 exercises you have to use data structures. Number 1, this one, delivery tracking. And there is one more. That's it. So that's why we change this module. We are just covering conditionals today so that you can apply all exercises, or you can try to complete all the exercises, but how to apply data structures, we will discuss next week as well. Okay, so question number 6, create a program that classify goods into different categories. If I enter, let's say 1000 kg, it should say that, okay, which category it belong to, how many. So for example, if it's I enter the program should ask the user to enter the weight of the goods in pounds. So first question is going to enter in pounds. I enter, let's say 1000 pound. You have to convert pound into kgs, okay? And then based on the weight, you should categorize. If I, let's say, enter 1000 pounds, let's say 550 kg. Now in that case, it should show that, okay, what are the categories it should be? Okay, whether it goes heavyweight, medium weight, lightweight, or must be divided into smaller size. So if it's, let's say, 550, so I will say, okay, must be divided into smaller size. If it's going with 50 to 100 kg, so that would be this category, this category, and this category. The program should then display the categories of the goods. Okay, so I'm sure that this is the category for 550. Okay, delivering, tracking. This is for data structures, so I will discuss next week, but you have to create a list next week with these status, and you have to use the positioning of it. We will discuss next week this one. Delivery statistics, create a program that calculate and display the statistics of company's delivery. The company should ask the user to enter 3 destinations. Let's say I enter destination A, B, and C. Time for each delivery. A is taking 10 hours, B is taking 7 hours, C is taking 3 hours. Using the information, the program should calculate and display the average delivery time and the fastest and slowest delivery time in the destination. So when you put it into a data structures, you can simply calculate the average, fastest and lowest. Yes, Vladimir, this is an individual assessment. Yeah. Okay, and then after write a program that generate a delivery status to scale. This is one question where you have to ask the user to enter the 3 drivers name and license number. Let's say I enter A, B, and C and license number any random 1, 2, and 3. And the program should ask the user to enter the number of deliveries. Now, let's say I have 20 deliveries and I have 3 drivers. Every driver should receive equal number of delivery, except the last one can have more. So this is a concept where you have to apply modulus and division to integer. 20 division to integer 3, you will get an output 6. So first one will have 6, second one will have 6, and third one have the remaining one. And then you have to display it accordingly. Last exercise, implement a program that allow the user to manage the account setting, provide options to the personal information. Now, we are just asking to manage, okay? So assume the account information are name, email ID, and password. The program saved the customer detail in 3 lists. A list comprise name, another for email address, and also has the password list. If a user has name at position, so what happened here? For it will be in the next week exercise, but you have to create 3 lists. List number 1 have all name. List number 2 have mobile number and password. So when someone enter their name, you will check whether it exists. If it exists, you will allow them to edit it. So because right now we have not learned data structures, we are just saving it for the next week. But apart from that, all 7, I think so 8 exercises you can complete. You don't need any knowledge about data structures to complete. For example, question number 1, nothing. Question number 2, nothing. 3, not required. 4, not required. 5, not required. 6, not required. 7, required data structures, but very tiny. You even don't need it. You can simply use it without data structure. I'm not expecting data structure to be here. OK, data structures are only required question number 9 and question number 10. OK, yes, Rachel. Rachel, you have a question? Your hand is raised.
Sorry, sir, that was a mistake.
Oh, no problem. OK, I expect the first question during the entire class, Rachel. OK, anyone have any questions? Anything you want to ask? Now, we have discussed about case study. We still have 4 minutes. I don't want to. But yeah, I have this announcement. I already shared the announcement. Please go through. There's no need to worry about much. We still have 1 more week. Just focus about your assessment requirements and the concept to be applied. There is one template which you have to submit with the screenshot of exercises. I will share next week because I'm sure that no one is going to submit before next week. OK, but if someone is, please feel free to let me know. It's very simple. You just have to, when you are running your code final time for question number 1, just open this Word file, put a screenshot here for the entire screen. The code visible here, output is here. So this shows me that you have tested your code. It's working in your IDE. So when I'm running in my IDE, due to any configuration issue, if it's not working, you will still get marks. OK, so just have to have only one solution, one screenshot for one exercise. I don't need multiple screenshots for multiple exercise. Only one screenshot for one exercise. So 10 screenshots for 10 exercises. That's it. So that will give me an idea that you have tested your code, it was working, and also I will be able to highlight the area which might be a concern so that you will get a detailed feedback about it. OK, so that I will still discuss next week, but right now I'm sure that. So that is all for today. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to let me know. But yes, Ryan.
Are we uploading that with our assignment, the document you just showed us?
The Word file?
No, the one with all the test cases in it, the document with the test cases. Do we upload that with our assessment?
No, that is already there. No, you don't have to. That part is already there. I can see. So the moment you open this assessment brief, you're talking about case study.
Yeah,
Ryan, you're talking about.
Yeah.
Oh,
the file.
sorry.
Oh, sorry.
So you're talking about case study or which one?
The file you were just showing us that had all the test scenarios.
OK, the screenshot which I'm talking about. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the screenshots one, we just need a screenshot. So you can upload it along with your Python file. The moment you are going for a submission portal, which is look like I can simply share it now for some students. So if I just open it as a student, this is what you see. So what you have to do, you have to just simply click on drag a file here, attach the file of your Python code, also attach the file of the template. And also if you want to add some test cases, no worries at all, you can also add it. But make sure you upload all the files as individual. I'm not expecting to have files with zip file or RAR. OK, it should not be protected. It should be individual files. There are multiple reasons. The main reason that when you are submitting a zip file, I have to download it and then run it. But and I cannot provide detailed feedback on it because those files are locked. OK, they are as zipped files. So what I would recommend, when you're uploading your files, upload it individual so that I can simply check or preview the file in the Mylon system, and I can highlight the area which makes some concern or which are the great work. So that might be much easier. It's already mentioned in the case study, in the assessment brief, and also in the instructions that no zip file accepted. If you submit a zip file, I will definitely ask you to check it on week 1 class, but that will be week 5 class, but that might be too late. So please make sure don't submit a zip folder. Yes, Daniel, I hope it's clear, Ryan and Daniel. Yes.
And yeah, I just wanted to just clarify. So you said with the comments for every task in that assessment, is it a minimum of 2 comments?
It's a minimum of 2. We just want, because you know that comment is a simple thing. We don't we just want to make sure that you know how to use comments effectively. So 2 comments at least. If you want to use more, I don't have any problem. But sometimes we always recommend 2 comments because some students, they copy paste the question, entire exercise, and they think that this is a comment. That is not a valid comment. The comment always as a part of your question, part of your code, or as a, I would say, as a notes for your fellow programmer, which you want to pass on when he's running your.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you. Yes, Vladimir.
Sorry, also I would like to add questions about the comments. So we should add at least 2 comments for each task, yeah? So for each task, not for all.
No, not for each task. So there are 10 exercises, 20 comments. One more thing I want to add on. Normally I check it accordingly, but this is it's going over time. I don't want to run it, but just to, if you have 10 exercises and you think that might be question number 4 is not working, put it at the last. Because when I'm running your file, due to question number 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 is not running at all, and I have to run it again manually. So if you think any question, just break out the sequence, put it at the last. Any code which you think that making no sense, put it at the last. That will be so that is something which we always recommend. Okay, so rest everything is fine. We still have more week. I will do a help session myself for assessment 1, which I always do. So I will organize a help session next week, probably on Friday afternoon, which you can join to ask some last moment questions. So no need to worry. If you have any questions, I will be there to assist you. Okay, so we will discuss that one in next week's class. Okay, thank you, everyone. Just stopping the recording, but if you have still questions, please feel free to ask. Okay. Okay, that I will share after. Okay, Neelam, you ask a question. Just see here. Okay, whenever the class is finished, when you go to your online class portal, okay, you scroll down. Not here. Let's say this class. You scroll down, you will find all the recordings here. Okay, for question week class 3, it's going to be recorded. It's when I stop it, you will find all recording, but for class 2, you will find the recording and all the text messages, everything. Even the entire chat is also there. And you will also file the files we have shared, everything. Okay, so thank you, everyone. I'm just stopping the recording. And if you have questions, please feel free to ask. Thank you, everyone.